Hey guys, welcome back to Faith and Focus by Lariella. I'm so happy you're here today. We're going to talk about something really interesting: how animals, including us, manage water in their bodies and get rid of all the waste we don't need. It might sound sciencey at first, but I promise I'll explain it in the chillest way possible. So let's get into it. So, first, let's talk about osmoregulation. It's basically how living things control how much water and salt is inside them. Sounds simple, right? But it's actually a big deal because even a small imbalance can mess things up. Like, imagine if your body absorbs too much water, your cells can swell and literally burst. Or if you lose too much water, your cells can shrink and stop working properly. Animals need to keep a steady balance. That's what osmoregulation is all about. Keeping that water and solute level just right so everything inside runs smoothly. Even tiny single celled organisms like amoeba have their own way of doing this. They use something called contractile vacuole to push out extra water. But as we move up to more complex animals, the methods become more complex. Okay, now along with water balance, our bodies also have to deal with waste. Every time your body does some kind of chemical reactions, like breaking down food or generating energy, it produces waste. Some of this waste is toxic and can't just hang around. This is where excretion comes in. It's the process of getting rid of all those harmful leftover products, especially things that contain nitrogen like ammonia. And just to be clear, defecation is not a part of excretion. That's just undigested food being pushed out. Excretion is more about the chemical waste made inside your cells. Now, why is it so important? Now, here's the thing: your body must keep the internal environment stable. That means controlling things like water, salts, and acidity. If the body holds on to waste like ammonia or carbon dioxide for too long, it can change the acid base balance. And that can damage important proteins. Like, seriously, it can't even stop your body from functioning. So, excretion isn't just about flushing stuff out, it's about protecting the vibe inside your body and making sure nothing toxic builds up. Now, depending on what you eat, carbs, fats, proteins, etc., your body makes different waste products. For example, when you break down carbs or fats with oxygen, the waste is just carbon dioxide and water. It's pretty chill. But when it comes to proteins or nucleic acids, which are like building blocks of DNA, they contain nitrogen. So when you break those down, your body produces ammonia, which is super toxic. Depending on where an animal lives and what kind of enzymes it has, the ammonia can either be released directly or turned into something safer like urea or uric acid. Let's pause and look at this. Different animals get rid of nitrogen waste in different ways. Animals that live in water, like fish or tadpoles, usually release ammonia directly, so they have tons of water around to dilute it. Land animals like us humans can't afford to waste water like that, so we turn ammonia into urea, which is less toxic and easier to store before excretion. And then there are animals like birds and reptiles. They produce uric acid, which is dry like a paste, and it's great for saving water, but it takes more energy to make. Also note, for energy cost for producing ammonia for excretion is comparatively low, and terrestrial animals do not have access to sufficient water to excrete ammonia as the main excretory product, and that's the reason it is converted to urea, which is a less toxic product. Uric acid is relatively non-toxic and generally insoluble in water. Therefore, it is excreted as semi-solid with trace amount of water. However, uric acid production from ammonia requires more energy than urea production. So basically, the type of nitrogen waste an animal produces depends on its lifestyle and environment. Let's go through some cool ways animals get rid of waste. Some simple animals just release waste through their skin, like jellyfish. Flatworms use something called flame cells. Think of them like a tiny fire filtering system. Worms have nephroidea, tubes like structures that filter fluid from the body. Insects have malbibine tubes, which are like little pipes that dump waste into their gut. Crustaceans like crabs use green glands near their head. We humans use sweat glands and, of course, our kidneys. And some animals, like marine birds and reptiles, have salt glands near their eyes to get rid of extra salt. Where are your kidneys actually? So, we're going to start talking about our kidneys. You got two kidneys just chilling on either side of your spine, at the back of your abdomen. They're sitting behind this thin lining called peritoneum and they're below your diaphragm. One fun fact, your right kidney is actually a little lower than your left. Why? Because your liver takes up more space on the right side, so it pushes it down a bit. Blood supply. Your kidneys are highly connected to your blood. They are basically the cleanup crew for the entire bloodstream. Renal arteries bring blood into the kidney straight from your aorta, and once the kidneys filter and clean the blood, the renal veins send it back to your inferior vena cava, which brings it to the heart again. Basically, your blood is constantly going on a spa trip through the kidneys. What are the kidneys that look like inside and outside? The kidney is this smooth beam shaped organ held in place by a cushion of fat and wrapped in a protective fibrous tissue. Now imagine we cut it open. You'll see three main areas: fibrous capsule, renal cortex, and renal medulla. Fibrous capsule will be the outer protective layer. Renal cortex is going to look a bit grainy looking middle part because it is full of glomeruli. And renal medulla is the innermost part, which is striped triangular shaped structures called renal pyramids. So the pointy ends of these pyramids is called as papillae, drip into a space called renal pelvis. So this might sound a bit complicated in your head, so I will highly recommend if you can, literally see a picture of the cross section of the kidney later. And from there, the urine flows into the ureter, the blood vessels pass through the pelvis too. So now let's zoom even closer to the nephron. So this is the important part. These are like tiny filter machines inside your kidney. You have millions of them in each kidney, millions, and they never rest. So there are two types. Cortical nephrons, which stay near the outer layer. Justamedullary nephrons go deeper into the medulla and help concentrate your urine more efficiently. For example, it's a fact that I actually remember. I don't know whether it's accurate, but yeah, justamedullary nephrons is present in camels actually to conserve water. So a nephron is made of long twisted tubule and this cute little ball of capillaries called glomerulus. The start of the tubule wraps around the glomerulus, that's the Bowman's capsule. The end connects to the collecting duct, which is where all the final urine forming happens. The tubule has three sections: Bowman's capsule, proximal covulated tubule, loop of Henle, and distal covulated tubule. Bowman's capsule is the filter capsule. Think of it, it's like a tiny 2-walled cup that wraps around the glomerulus. Inside this cup is a space where the first liquid waste, which is called as filtrate, gets collected. So inside layer has a special flat cells that help filter tiny molecules out of your blood, stuff like glucose, salts, water, etc. Big stuff like blood cells and proteins are blocked. They can't sit with us. They are blocked. Now, the glomerulus is like a tightly packed bunch of blood capillaries. Blood enters through a thicker pipe, which is called as the afferent arteriole, and leave through the thinner one, which is efferent arteriole. So I remember like this. Afferent comes like arrive, AA, the starting letter is A, and efferent is going to be exit. So in that way, you can remember it fast. Afferent and efferent. That size difference increases pressure like a water hose being pinched, which helps push stuff out of the blood into the Bowman's capsule. Then the blood continues flowing around the nephron through tiny capillary networks. Peritubular capillaries wrap around the tubules, and vasa recta dive down to the loop of Henle, especially in justa medullary nephrons. Here's where the real work begins. Urine is made in 3 steps. This happens in the glomerulus plus Bowman's capsule. So this process is known as ultrafiltration, what I'm going to describe, because it takes place in the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. It's where urine formation begins. So because of that high pressure that I talked about, it comes in afferent neuron, and it leaves it through the afferent artery, and it leaves through the efferent. So there is a pressure difference, right, due to the diameter. So because of that high pressure, tiny particles from the blood like salts, glucose, amino acids, water, urea gets pushed into the capsule. But the big boys like blood cells, proteins, platelets are too chunky to pass through, so they remain within the bloodstreams. This earlier fluid is called glomerular filtrate, and it's almost like blood plasma, just without the big stuff. Then we have selective reabsorption. Now the body is like, okay, we are not throwing all that out. So all the filtrate travels through the tubule. The good stuff gets reabsorbed back into the blood. So back into the blood, it means like first into the interstitial fluid and then into the bloodstreams. So proximal covulator tubule, most of the reabsorption happens here. Glucose, ions, water, amino acids, all are snatched back. So in the loop of Henle, also selective reabsorption happens. Actually, this selective reabsorption happens throughout the nephron. Loop of Henle, distal covulator tubule. So in the loop of Henle, in the descending limb, when going down, it lets the water leave through osmosis. In the ascending limb, it's waterproof. So it pumps out salts like sodium. So water leaves one side and the salts leave the other side. So it's very smart. And the distal covulator tubule will twerk things based on what your body needs. More or less water, more or less salt, even regulates your pH. We will dig deeper into it later. Now, tubular secretion, which is also, we can call it as, in our textbook, we just find the word secretion, but I will use the word tubular secretion because so it's easier to differentiate the normal secretion that we talk about and the tubular secretion under osmoregulation. So this is the last cleanup round. So here, any extra waste, toxins or acids that didn't get filtered earlier are actively secreted into the tubule, especially things like H plus ions, ammonia, drugs like penicillin or aspirin, excess potassium. This happens mostly in the proximal and the distal tubules. So if we go deeper into what are the things that are like actively secreted through tubular secretion, H plus ions is secreted to balance the pH. Ammonia is secreted to pair with the H plus to make NH plus 4. It's also to like balance the pH. Then we have the collecting duct. The filtrate reaches the collecting duct, and this is where it officially turns into urine. Hormones like ADH and aldosterone come in like bosses to decide how much water to keep or let go, how salty the urine should be, how concentrated it becomes. And also, if your body is super dehydrated, this is where it holds on to water and makes the dark yellow urine. Okay, now let's first start with the. Now we're going to talk about hormones. Now, I also want to say something is that this podcast is completely going to be about explaining what is it because people memorize without knowing what's happening. So this is going to be more of an explaining while listening. So I will actually upload a textbook reading of the urine formation. So if you want the exact wordings and all, you can listen to that while going. So or going or resting or whatever you all are doing. So yeah. So we'll start with hormones now. So actually in the textbook they have given it as a chart. So we normally tend to skip that. But today in this I'm going to explain what's actually happening over there. So let's start with ADH. So imagine you've been out all day sweating it out, haven't had enough water. Now the concentration of the stuff in your blood will go up. Scientists call this osmotic pressure. I thought osmosis is like the water transportation thing. No? So I thought, okay, osmosis means it's water pressure. No, no, no. Okay, remember it's a no. Okay, it's solute pressure. Okay, we learned osmotic potential in unit 4. So it's like so it's solute potential is also called as osmotic potential. So same over here, it's the solutes. Okay, not water. Your brain's like, okay, we are getting kind of dry. So the special sensors in a part of your brain called the hypothalamus will go alert. Now that message gets passed to the posterior pituitary gland, which then releases a hormone called ADH. ADH travels through your blood all the way to your kidneys and goes like, hey, we are low on water, so hold on to it. So the kidney will listen and it'll be like, it'll start reabsorbing more water in the distal tubules and collecting ducts. That means you keep more water in your body instead of letting it go. At the same time, your brain is also making you feel thirsty, like, come on, drink some more water. So when you finally hydrate, the blood concentration becomes normal again and the ADH levels go back down. Balance is restored. So this is how this ADH cycle happens. So normally like I'll just go through again. Okay, it's a dry day, you're sweating, not enough water. So what happens? Osmotic pressure increases because there's less water. So this hypothalamus will give signals to the posterior pituitary to release ADH. ADH will give a signal to kidney to hold on to water. And it will also give signals for you to drink water. Okay. Now let's go to the RAAS system, which I like to call. It's that renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. It's like a drama series, actually, a lot of hormones that will simplify it. So here's the scene. Your body notices a drop in the blood pressure, maybe from dehydration or blood loss. That's when a special area in your kidneys called JGA, like uncrossed fingers. Let me try to pronounce it. It's just a glomerule apparatus. Okay. So it's like, wait a second, something's not right. So it releases renin. So this is the main character in the plot. So renin will meet a protein which is made by the liver called angiotensinogen. Angiotensinogen. And it turns into angiotensin 1. Then this gets converted into angiotensin 2 with the help from the same, not from the same enzyme. It gets help from another enzyme, which is not mentioned. So, yeah. So angiotensinogen will make renin. So it will get an upgrade to angiotensin 1. Then by help of another enzyme, it gets converted to angiotensin 2. Now, so angiotensin 2 is the boss now. So it tightens your blood vessels to raise the pressure and tells the adrenal glands to release aldosterone. Now the aldosterone slides in and tells the kidneys, keep more salt and water and I'll boost the blood volume and pressure. And just like that, your body bounces back. So shall we go once again? Did it seem complicated? So So what happens is, maybe due to dehydration or blood loss, a special area in your kidney called justa glomerular apparatus will release renin. When it when does it releases renin? When it detects like a drop in blood pressure. So this renin will meet with angiotensinogen, which will be converted to angiotensin 1, and then by an enzyme's help, it gets converted to angiotensin 2, and that will cause the blood vessels to tighten. So, and raise the pressure. Due to the pressure raise, this angiotensin 1 will give signals to the adrenal glands to release aldosterone. So, this aldosterone will direct the kidneys to keep more salt and water within the bloodstream so that we can increase the blood volume and pressure. So, yes, that's it for hormones. Now we are moving on to the diseases and the functions and this tiny little part we have left. Okay, so we come to the ending now. So, role of kidney in homeostasis is what we are going to talk about. Maintaining electrolyte and water balance in the body fluids, excretion of toxic waste products from the body, regulating blood pH, acid-base balance, controlling blood volume and blood pressure, secretion of erythropoietin hormone that stimulates red blood cell production, which is an important thing to remember. Production and secretion of renin, an enzyme important in control of blood pressure. We just now saw how it happens. So, with that said, we also have disorders. We have kidney stones, bladder and kidney stones. This is because of the precipitation of urinary constituents. I'm actually afraid of this because I heard it's extremely painful. It's usually caused by oxalates and phosphates. It's because of dehydration, alkaline nature of urine, infectious that can alter pH, metabolic condition, and family history. And how you can prevent it? Drink plenty of water. That's it. Now, kidney failure, this is due to the inability of the kidneys to function properly. So, therefore, waste products and excess fluid will be accumulated in the blood. Reasons can be diabetes, high blood pressure, having family history, and also getting older. So, yeah, and we have something called this chronic kidney disease that they talk about, but it's never questioned in an exam paper. So, just remember that it's like a gradual loss of kidney function over the time. So, there can be reasons like diabetes, high blood pressure, family history, getting old. You can prevent it by exercise, regular checkup, and preventing smoking. But we have like for kidney failure, like I feel like this one of the greatest invention is dialysis. Like it is done for the patients with the kidney failure. It is a process of removing excretory products and excess solutes and toxins from the body by an artificial method. Then they have given a small paragraph of like chronic kidney diseases in Sri Lanka, which is not much questioned. And yeah, actually, that's it. So we literally covered the whole chapter. So, wow, let's breathe. So, all right, everyone, that's a full dive into osmoregulation and how our bodies keep that perfect balance, just like how our faith keeps us grounded through every challenge. So, whether you're studying, hustling, praying, or just living your best life, remember God's always working behind the scenes, filtering out the stress and keeping our spirit steady. So, this is the last 3 months and it's going to be very tough. So, let's all pray for the best. So, keep your mind clear, which is extremely important. Your mental health comes first, and your heart hydrated and your focus sharp. So, thanks for tuning in to Faith and Focus by Lariella. Stay strong, stay blessed, and keep shining bright. So, catch you next time. Thank you.
Free audio post production by